The rabbi is campaigning particularly hard this election season. Are you surprised at all by the effort put forth by the Republican Party in this election?
All I know is I have between 8 and 12 events a day. Anybody that has even implied that I'm taking this election for granted doesn't know what they're talking about, period.
Okay. But it seemed like you had a little more, there was a little more struggle, there was a little more visibility with the election when things were happening in the primaries, that you had a particularly strong primary, a visible primary.
You're absolutely wrong, because we'll compare the schedules I had during the primary, which is a very contentious primary, if you remember, but that's over and done with, and my schedule now. I mean, so I don't have to run down the street with my schedule in my hand all the time, but you're free to look at my schedule. So any implication, so don't believe everything you hear or you read.
Okay. You said recently that you hope that your opponent keeps running a negative campaign. Do you think that he does you some sort of good in running an attack?
I saw it happen in the primary. I don't run negative campaigns. I don't believe in them.
And lastly, one of the things that he has come after you about, particularly an issue, is your associations. Do you think that these kind of things are a distraction, or do you think that these?
It's a distraction. There's no question about that. And my record, which he implies many, many times, my record on Israel is perfect. I voted for every dollar that's come before me in 16 years. I'm a defender of Israel. They are a strong ally. And so it would seem to me that many folks in the media are jumping on something and looking for something. And so is my opponent.
He's asked you to denounce particular acquaintances, and you've said that you don't make an issue out of it. You won't denounce your relationships. What is it that?
Why should I denounce a friendship? I mean, if I find out that the individual is doing something wrong, that's a different story. But I have no knowledge of that. I've checked with the FBI. I've been on Homeland Security, and for you to ask me this question 2.5 weeks out from the election itself disturbs me. You can ask me anything you wish.
Okay, so let's move on to economy then. You've said that you think that manufacturing is going to be what brings back jobs. Do you think that manufacturing has an opportunity to return to New Jersey?
It's the job indicator right now. If you look at the numbers of where we're creating private sector jobs, manufacturing is one of the leaders over the last 32 months. We surrendered on manufacturing over the last 30, 40 years. And that is why most of the stuff that we use is made in other countries. Not just China, but a lot of other countries. We need to get some of that manufacturing job, because these are the jobs that we lost. They're good paying jobs, and they help the middle class build up again. I would suggest to you that one of the reasons why we've shrunk the middle class is the loss of millions and millions of manufacturing jobs. We need to get many of them back again, and we need to provide incentives for corporations and companies to bring them back into the United States, instead of doing what the other side wants to do, the Republicans want to do, to continue the process of giving tax incentives to corporations and companies who send manufacturing jobs offshore. To me, that makes no sense whatsoever, and it's a poor use of taxpayers' money.
You have said it. Your opponent has said it. You hear it in almost every campaign that's being run today about reaching across the aisle. Everybody says they're ready to reach across the aisle, but Congress remains deadlocked. Nothing seems to move.
Let me inform you that most of my bills are bipartisan. I have a lot of very moderate Republicans who reach out to me, and I reach out to them on bills dealing with health, bills dealing with the infrastructure of the United States, bills dealing with transportation. So we need to reach out. But if you are plagued by an ideology, which the Republican far right is, then the rest of the few remaining moderate Republicans are afraid to move. They don't reach out because they figure that they're going to come into clashing with the people who control the Republican Party right now, and that's the far right, the Tea Party.
But it doesn't. One of the things, not that many seats it may be in this election that not that many seats change hands. And if the Republicans refuse to budge, if they remain ideological, and if the moderate Republicans,
then we're in trouble. We're in big trouble.
Move.
This country's in big, big trouble.
But then people are going to be looking to Democrats to.
Well, we're going to be talking to ourselves. You need the other side, some people on the other side, to at least sit down and to compromise. I mean, to blame the Democratic Party for the logjam is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Mm-hmm. Because we've attempted to do that. The President of the United States has attempted to reach out on most issues. And they said it themselves in public. Mitch McConnell, he said, we're not compromising, and we don't want to give them one victory, and our job is to take the president down. Now, I ask you, tell me what you do with that philosophy. How do you break the log jam if that's the opposition's position? You tell me. I'll listen. I want to learn.
Well, so if you believe, that we've got these two ideas.
No. You didn't answer my question.
Is how do you break the log jam?
If that's the situation.
Well, I think a lot of people are looking for Democrats to. A lot of people are frustrated. A lot of Democrats are frustrated right now. Why don't
I'm not frustrated. I know what my job is. I'm going to continue to do my job. No Tea Party person, no extremist is going to, in any manner, shape, or form, reduce my energy of getting things done.
Okay, so you believe...
But I want to know who on the other side we could talk to deal and get a compromise.
So you think that voters can feel confident that the Democrats can hold up to, work with, or in somehow... make headway.
We're going to do our part. Look, we have extremists in our own party, but we've tried to bring together both sides on many matters, and sometimes there's three sides. So if you're not willing to compromise, you don't have to compromise your ideals or your principles, but you compromise on issues to get something done, to move the ball forward. And this Congress is not. In the Senate, you need 60 votes to bring a bill up, even not 50, 60. Mm-hmm. So there are arcane rules. That's right in the hands of the extreme right wing of the Republican Party. They love that. This is why nothing passes. This is the most do-nothing Congress we've had for 70, 80 years.
Filibuster.
We brought it. Look at the president's job bill. You talk about jobs before. The president introduced this jobs bill 7, 8 months ago. It's never come to the floor to get a shot for a vote. They won't let it. They don't want him to succeed. They've put politics ahead of the common good. Unlike what happened on September the 18th, 2008, when both McCain and Obama rose above the issue of when Paulson asked, you guys got to act, you girls got to act within 5 days or else the country's going off the cliff. They were in the midst of a presidential election. They had enough brains and they had enough strength to rise above the politics of the moment, rise above the politics, and support President Bush in the dire hour of our economy. Nobody ever remembers that because we do have amnesia.
Do you think that the re-election, right, a second term for Obama, another shot at the Democrats to hold their seats in Congress is going to be enough? There's going to be Are you optimistic?
Well, if we get the majority, of course, it's a whole different ballgame. I doubt if we'll get the majority in the House of Representatives, but we're sure fighting. We're not going to give up that objective. And we want to have at least 60 in the Senate to get votes on the floor of the Senate.
All right. And lastly, what we can do in state, we talked about manufacturing before. You said jobs were leaving, going overseas. Do you think that people are, because of taxation, leaving New Jersey for other states to create jobs elsewhere?
You'll have to ask the governor that question.
Okay. And do you have confidence that the governor has a plan to bring economic stability back?
I think the governor is trying to get companies to stay here, first of all. And certainly can't blame the governor for Roche leaving our area, the pharmaceutical company. But I don't know how active his economic development team is. And it would seem to me that the unemployment rate in New Jersey is much higher than most of the states around here. So I have to question it, but I can't point to any one thing that says he's doing this wrong or that wrong. I mean, he inherited a bad situation himself. while I'm not defending him, he could defend himself. I mean, there's enough blame to go around here. The question is, how do we get on track and get something done? People are always looking back. I always look forward. That's what elections are all about.